All right, let's get it on. I'm trying this new setup here using my Turtle Beaches instead of holding my phone in my hand. This is gonna be a way better setup. Have like two laptops and a external monitor, so this is gonna work out well. Anyways, tech news for the week of March 13th through the 19th, 2016. One more full week of March. Unbelievable. Alright, so first story up the bat here on slashdot.org. This user Lucas123 writes, an MIT Sensible City Lab study based on mathematical modeling demonstrated a likely scenario in which high-tech vehicles using sensors to remain at a safe distance for each other as they move through a four-way intersection can eliminate the need for traffic lights in the future. By removing the weights caused by traffic lights, these so-called slot-based intersections speed up traffic flow. The study claims this kind of traffic light-free zone, or transportation design, if it ever arrives, could allow twice as much traffic to use the existing roads. Now, this is kind of a good thing. This will allow people to travel from point A to B in less time. More and more roundabouts are now popping up everywhere, which I don't mind roundabouts, but a lot of people don't know how to use them, and they're not that difficult to learn. It's just you already have bad drivers, but letting the computer take over things, and now that we're having, like, Google's coming out with the Google car that drives itself, you don't need to have a driver or anything, unless some emergency comes up and you can take control over it, is a good thing. I mean, this is the future here. It's like iRobot, if you remember that movie with Will Smith. It's very good. We're getting in the future, and if the study goes well, I mean, if they can get the mathematics right, is very good in the long haul. I mean, there's already twice as many people on the road as there was 5 years ago. I mean, it's a very good thing. The next one is a stealthy drone can hide underwater for months and then float to the surface to take off. So, after months of analysis and experimentation, a team of researchers from Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics announced the successful development of a reliable sea-to-air unmanned aerial vehicle dubbed the Corrosion-Resistant Aerial Covert Unmanned Nautical System, or Krakens for short, if I pronounce that right. Johns Hopkins drone has the ability to reside for months underwater without deteriorating or decaying. Once given the signal, the Krakens would then rise to the water surface and begin flight, capable of undertaking a variety of missions. In order for the drone to accomplish this, the team had to develop a body that contained no structural metal parts or machined surfaces. The composite body has not only be extremely lightweight, but must be able to submerge in water and hold up to constant water pressure. Kraken's project manager, Jason Stipes, said in a published press release, engineers at APL have long worked on both Navy submarine systems and autonomous unmanned aerial vehicles. In response to evolving sponsor challenges, we were inspired to develop a vehicle that could operate both underwater and in the air. That's great. I mean, it's kind of like a submarine UAV hybrid. I mean, that'll work well for war. It could not be detected by radio detection and ranging radar, and enemies won't know it's there until it's too late. Or it can just sit there until they're ready to strike. I mean, it's basically early cloaking, pretty much, kind of. I mean, that's great. The next one is Microsoft is working on a tool to port Chrome extensions to Edge. So earlier this week, Microsoft released a new Windows 10 build for insiders that, among other things, brings support for extensions to Microsoft Edge. There aren't many extensions to play with currently, but a Microsoft engineer says the company is working on a tool to allow developers to bring their Chrome extensions to its store. Lots of questions on this, tweeted Jacob Rossi. Yes, we are working on a porting tool to run Chrome extensions in Edge. Not yet finished, and not all application programming interfaces supported. That's a good step in a direction for Microsoft. Especially after now that they're pushing Edge, and Edge is supposedly a more secure browser than the dreaded Internet Explorer, and yes, dreaded Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer was a piece of crap ever since probably early 90s. Oh, probably actually ever since it was developed, it was crap. Very easily hackable, not very secure. This is a big step for Microsoft because they're trying to push Edge, which supposedly is a more secure browser. I haven't used it as much. I mostly use Chrome or Firefox, honestly. I haven't really used it that much. I've used it here and there, but I mean, they're trying to push it to compete with Chrome and Firefox and Opera and all these other browsers, and it's a good thing for Microsoft. They need to do it, but yet it's not all APIs are supported. That's understandable. It's in the early stages. We'll see how that goes. Now this is for kind of a Linux hybrid driver. AMD publishes Preview Linux hybrid driver with Vulkan and OpenGL 4.5 support. AMD is anonymous reader writes, AMD has finally published a previously talked about closed source Radeon Vulkan driver for Linux. Announced by AMD via the Phoronix forums is the new hybrid driver dubbed AMD GPU Pro Beta Driver -Linux. This closed source user space driver provides the first AMD Vulkan support for Linux, along with OpenGL 4.5, OpenCL 2.0, and VDP-AU video acceleration capabilities. But in using the open source AMD GPU kernel driver, only the very latest AMD graphical processing units are currently supported, which is GCN 1.2 and up. This was published today at 03:22 Greenwich Munich time. This is a good thing. Open source, closed source, it really depends on the program. I like both open and closed source. AMD's always had good drivers. They're probably right. Let's see here. AMD and Intel are probably the top two driver companies. Like right now, my Toshiba C75 Satellite has an AMD A6 driver, and my Lenovo G50, which I'm recording this off of, has a Intel Core i3 driver. And the fact that it has the capability of video acceleration, that's a very good thing. Because of buffering and stuff, the more video acceleration capabilities you have, the less well, not the less buffering, but the less buffering to the point where you're watching video and it buffers every 2 seconds because it's not getting enough radio waves from the router or anything. That's a good thing. We'll see where it goes. Next one is Twitter. From Anonymous Reader, again from slashdot.org. All these stories are going to be on Slashdot. The rumor has it that there was a rumor going around that Twitter will scrap its 140 character limit for tweets. But an interview with NBC, chief executive officer of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, has gone on record saying that the limit is staying. Now, the up and downside to 140 character limits is, the downside is you gotta basically condense sentences on what you gotta say and basically just get to the points. You can't write a full blog on Twitter. Now, I mean, that's fine with me. What I usually do is, like, if I see a link on a store or something, I'll put it on Reddit. Like, I use Reddit, Twitter, and Facebook mostly. I haven't gone to Instagram or Pinterest or any of that stuff. I'll post something on Reddit, and then I'll have it sent to Twitter, and whatever is posted on my Twitter automatically goes to my Facebook. Kill 3 birds in one stone. It's, if I'm doing a really long, like I really think, then I'll go into Facebook. But other than that, I mean, Twitter is mostly used for, like, breaking news stories and sports, whatever, stuff like that. It'd be nice to see them get rid of the 140 character limit, but according to Jack Dorsey, it's just not going to happen. I mean, oh well. This next story is Sony's working on PlayStation 4.5 with enhanced virtual reality and 4K support. Citing multiple sources, Kotaku says that Sony is working on a PlayStation 4.5. The gaming console will supposedly have an upgraded graphical processing unit, which will support high-end 4K resolution for games and have more processing power, which would enhance the game supported by PlayStation Virtual Reality. From the report, a more powerful PlayStation 4 would allow the machine to be more competitive with personal computers in the world of virtual reality with a higher-end graphical processing unit. The PlayStation 4 could more easily match up against the more expensive Oculus Rift and HTC. Here's the change, if nobody knew what HTC stood for. Vive virtual reality headsets, which are designed to work with powerful personal computers. This is big for Sony. They want to compete with Oculus Rift and HTC and all that, and it's good. I mean, a higher graphical processing unit, that's good. I mean, the downside of that's going to be more expensive, but, you get what you pay for. You pay for a cheap graphical processing unit, it's going to crap out. You pay for a more expensive GPU, it's going to last longer. So, good on Sony for that. And, Sony, they're spending more time on, they're spending more, how should I say this? They're spending more time on PlayStation and their gaming console and stuff like that. They kind of they're kind of still in the TV business. Vizio is pretty much has Sony parts in it. It's pretty much a Sony TV, but it doesn't have the Sony name. So, I mean, if you want to, you like Sony, buy a Vizio, because it's the same parts. The only thing you're getting out of Sony TV is the name. You're paying for the name, pretty much. And just like Apple, you pay for the name. That's why they cost so much. All of that, and also they have higher-end hardware, which, like I said, you get what you paid for. You can go out and buy a $200 computer. But it's going to be crap compared to a $700, $800 computer. Get what you paid for. This next story is Microsoft is revising Windows 7 and 8 on Skylake cutoff date to 2018. Microsoft is softening its stance on how long and how completely it will continue to support Windows 7 and 8.1 users running Skylake-based devices. Instead of cutting off full extended support for Windows 7 and 8.1 on Skylake on July 17th of 2017, Microsoft will now guarantee full extended support a year later till July 17th, 2018. Microsoft is also tightening up the wording as to what kind of security updates Windows 7 and 8.1 users will get once that data comes. After July 2018, all critical Windows 7 and 8.1 security updates will be addressed for Skylake systems until extended support ends for Windows 7 on January 14th of 2020 and 8.1 of January 10th, January 10th of 2023. Many users weren't pleased with Microsoft's initial decision, as it appears OEMs weren't thrilled about it either, Adrian Muller, product manager at Lenovo, said earlier this month. The thought here is that Microsoft is really just pushing customers to move to Windows 10, and they are. I mean, I hear it in all the tech podcasts I'm listening to all the time, where people will go, they're running the computer running 7 or 8.1, they'll go get coffee or something, they'll come back, and all of a sudden their computer automatically is saying updating to Windows 10 automatically. And that's because their Windows 10, or Microsoft has made Windows 10 a mandatory update instead of a recommended update, because they want people to go to 10. Just because how bad Windows 8, people disagreed on how the graphical user interface of Windows 8 was. People were mad how they got rid of the start bar. They hated the charms bar. Me, I just got around that by using command line Python and all that. That's all I use. Bash. I use Bash and Linux and OS X's. But people who don't know how to write code, yeah, I guess, I mean, I kind of got frustrated a little bit with the charms bar, but I worked around it. But, I mean, it was more, they were trying to make it was a good OS for tablets, but PCs, or if you had a touch screen. But if you didn't have a touch screen, I can understand how frustrating it got. Microsoft, so we'll see how long Microsoft totally automatically updates computers to Windows 10 and gets rid of 7 and 8.1 as fast as possible, which I'm probably guessing they're doing, but we'll see. This next one, now this goes back to Apple versus the Federal Bureau of Investigators, FBI. Apple hires a corporate security chief amid legal battle with FBI. According to Anonymous Reader, Apple has hired a new security executive to oversee this corporate digital defenses as a result of the ongoing battle with the U.S. government over law enforcement's desire to crack into the San Bernardino's shooter's iPhone C. George Stathopoulos, former vice president of information security at Amazon.com, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, and before that, Microsoft's general manager of product security, is the new appointee designated to be the vice president of corporate information security. Stathopoulos, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but sorry about that, will be responsible for protecting corporate assets such as the computers used to design products and develop software, as well as data about customers. The new hire is a sign of increased focus on security issues at Apple. I mean, this whole thing with Apple and FBI it's not going to die. It's going to go on all year, maybe even to 2017. Now, Apple could have, the FBI screwed up in the first place. They could have taken that iPhone 5C, taken it to the shooter's house. It would have connected to his iMac to that at the access point that he had in his house, and this whole problem would never have happened in the first place. But I mean, it's made it a big, it's gone huge out of the tech business because they have made it. All the major news broadcasts like CNN and Fox News and everybody have made it to the general public to be aware of it. Otherwise, at the beginning, only tech news and techies knew about this whole thing, but then the media blew it out of proportion. And now it's gotten the whole general public to be talking about this for the last, now, what's it been, month and a half, 2 months, whatever it is. I mean, we'll see what goes on with it, but I mean, this is going to go on all year, like I said. I mean, what can you do? I mean, it's, any other news stories here? Let's see. I don't think So, here's an interesting one with Netflix. The last story. Netflix chief executive officer says blocking proxy services is the maturation of internet TV. The maturation. I don't really know how you really use that, but during a recent roundtable discussion, Netflix chief executive officer Reed Hastings commented on the company's controversial move to begin blocking the use of proxy, virtual private networks, and domain name services. We have the obligation to respect the content rights that we buy. It's just a simple fairness thing. Someone else has paid the rights in Germany, so we should respect that, just as we would expect the same in return, he said. The basic thing is if we license a movie here, the US, and another network licenses it in Germany, then we don't have the rights to display it in Germany. That's why we have to enforce those virtual private network rules. Just like Amazon Prime Instant Video and others do as well. Think of it as a maturation of internet TV. Yeah, he's got a point. I mean, yes, if there's a movie that they pay streaming rights to stream here in the United States, but can't stream it in the United Kingdom or Germany or France or Canada or Mexico or wherever. He's got a point. I mean, there's the companies that make the movies are kind of getting screwed out of money and rights, but on the downside, I mean, that's the upside. The downside is users outside of country rights who want to watch the movies, they won't be able to. I mean, or have to wait till the rights are. It's an up and downs. It's a left and right situation. It's got its upsides and downsides. I use VPNs mostly just for TSN in Canada because I'm a Canadian Football League fan, or if I want to see sports highlights from TSN in Canada, I use a VPN using Hola, or Hola, however you pronounce it, but that's really all I use VPNs for. Is if I want to connect up to a Canadian server and so I can see my highlights, just because I'm originally from Canada. It's the only place I can see my Canadian Football League highlights. ESPN, I don't have cable at the moment, and ESPN never shows CFL highlights or anything, and I just like seeing that. Even for NHL and stuff, I like seeing the highlights on the Canadian side. And technically, ESPN and TSN are kind of... ESPN owns TSN, so they're under the same company. Well, ESPN's owned by Disney, but ESPN and TSN are kind of... They're the same thing. Yeah, but... I can see Netflix's point of view. They're losing money. But... And if you don't know how VPN works, it pretty much... You tunnel from one network to the next. So basically, so you're in the US and you want to access something in Canada, or for example, if you're somewhere else and you're at a hotel network that's unsecured and you set up a VPN server here in your house and you want a VPN to your house, you tunnel to your home network through a bunch of server, but pinging off and sending echo requests off of to different routers and different ISP servers to your house, which is yet more secure. But in this instance, people are using it to access Netflix because it'll tell you, you're in Chicago, but it thinks you're in Chicago, but in reality you're here in Minneapolis, or you're in Toronto, or you're in Chicago and you're really in Toronto. But we'll see how this goes. Internet TV's growing. A lot more people are cutting the cable bills because cable's more expensive. There's stuff like Slingbox TV, which will offer certain channels live, like CNN and ESPN and all that. Eventually, when I get my own place, I'll probably get cable just because of sports and news and stuff like that. But right now I'm mostly just paying for Hulu Plus, and my parents pay for Netflix. And I have Amazon Prime at the moment because I bought an Amazon Fire Phone. This thing, which the graphical user interface is decent, but Amazon could have done a lot better things to it. Eventually, I want to get either an iPhone or I'll probably go with an Android, probably a Samsung, or I don't know. I thought about going with iOS, but I haven't fully decided yet. I mean, they're both the same thing. Android is basically Linux underneath, and iPhone is, well, OS X is Unix underneath with C++ coding over it. iPhone OS is just its own operating system. It's not Linux, really. It's just its own coded operating system, which is written in, I think, C2. Last time I checked, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Let's see. But the whole thing is, it's written C, C++, Objective-C, and Swift. And its lowest family is Unix-like. It's based on BSD, which is what OS X is. OS X is BSD under the hood, which is a Unix operating system distribution. But what can you do? Alright, I think that's going to be it for the week of March 13th through the 19th, and I figured I'd try this new setup with my Turtle Beaches and everything, and using the webcam on my Lenovo G50 using Cheese. I had to use this because I don't have a microphone, and my microphone won't pick it up. I did a whole 23-minute vlog, and then it didn't pick up the sound, so I had to redo it, of course. But have to get myself a good microphone eventually. But that'll do it, and I'll see you guys later. I'll post the hyperlinks and URLs in the description, and so you can see yourself, and have a great week.